Porsche Cup events. I'm John Hindhaugh. Alongside me, Tim Allwright, is Tim Harvey, the most successful driver ever in Porsche Carrera Cup GB history, reunited after far too many years apart. Good to be back working with you, Tim. This is a very different challenge for all of these drivers, and particularly for the ones for whom championship points are going to be important. Right at the top of the Loire Valley, we're at Le Mans.
Yeah, it's a fabulous opportunity for these guys to race at a circuit, particularly for the amateur guys who are absolutely looking forward to this massively. Yes, they're scoring points in their own national championship, but of course the fact they're at Le Mans, the fact they're racing on the full circuit on the morning of the 24-hour race, they want to do as well as they can in the overall classification as well.
It's changed a little bit since you raced here in the 24 hours, but Le Mans, as all the drivers always say, including Tom Christensen, who's won here more times than anyone else in the 24 hours. Le Mans is Le Mans. There's something special about it. These guys, even some of the more experienced guys, are going to have to just calm themselves down a little bit when they go out and see that Dunlop Bridge for the first time.
Yeah, there's very few drivers in the field that have actually raced on the full circuit. There's a few, but not many. Even in the French Carrera Cup Championship, there's not many drivers that have done it before. So, and it isn't a circuit, although you can learn where the circuit goes fairly easily, you cannot prepare yourself for braking at 180 miles an hour, 4 or 5 times a lap until you get out on the circuit. And because of the length of the circuit, you don't get that many laps in practice. So I think most of the drivers will go quicker in the race than they did even in qualifying.
Yeah, because they're learning the nuances of the track itself. I mentioned 3 rounds of European Championship. Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. This is the 3rd round for them. Xavier Masson leads their A class, and Pierre Perron their B category races. We'll go through all of this as we go through the races, the race itself, but there are various classes within the championships. Porsche Carrera Cup France again with an A and B class. Julien Andoulet leading A, Nicolas Misla on the B. Now this is only their 2nd round for Carrera Cup in France. And Porsche Carrera Cup GB, most of you will be cheering on the Brits as you are tuned in watching from the UK, I'm sure. Dan Camish leading that, and this is round 7 of the championship. And the big news for Porsche Carrera Cup GB, Tim, is that Dino Zamparelli, 3rd in points at the moment, is on the front row after a stunning qualifying, and Charlie Eastwood, who's in 2nd, is only a couple of rows further back.
Yeah, all the big hitters from the UK Championship Carrera Cup GB are up there. Zamparelli was absolutely flying, quickest in one of the free practices, 2nd in the other. He's been on it from the word go. Dan Camish compromised himself a little bit by hitting one of the not-so-floppy markers that are around the course and damaging the front of the car at the start of free practice 2, but he bounced back to set a very good time in qualifying. Of course, all the drivers was telling us about traffic on the lap, and I suppose 61 cars, it's probably true. So they all think they could have gone faster, but yes, all the big hitters are up there.
Yeah. This is going to be a scramble at the start. It's been a couple or 3 years since we had the Porsches here as part of the 24-hour weekend, and I seem to remember that the last race was very exciting, and Kevin Estre suffered a puncture on the last lap. Ben Barker for Par Motorsport went through and took the overall victory. We've got a good chance of a Porsche Carrera Cup GB driver doing that today. Pole position is Florian Latour from the French Championship, but then, as Tim said, all the big hitters from the GB Championship are there. There's points are being scored within your own championship group, so if you're in the Benelux Championship and you're the first Benelux driver, but you're in 12th position, in terms of your championship, you'll get max points for that. I don't think we need to worry about that too much at the moment. We'll sort that out at the end. What we're looking for is a cracking race, and 460 horsepower for everybody under their right foot is going to be entertaining round here. There's had to be 1 or 2 changes, though, to the cars for this track.
Yeah, the first thing is that it's a rolling start, obviously, because we're at Le Mans. That does tend to spread the cars out a little bit, but drivers race drivers are race drivers. They still want to lead, don't they, on the first lap?
Oh, yeah.
So expect some act. Zamparelli said he's going to attack from the word go. He wants to try and be in the lead. He thinks if he gets out in the lead that he can stay there. But this is not a traditional circuit. It's not so easy. But yes, a couple of other changes are, there's a requirement from Michelin, the solar tyre supplier, that everybody starts on a brand new set of tyres.
Right.
They've had 3 sets of tyres, new ones for the weekend, so they had 2 effectively for qualifying, but every single car is on a brand new set of tyres. And Michelin have also imposed a maximum camber allowance and a minimum starting tyre pressure allowance.
Right.
So everyone has to abide by that throughout all the championships, and I think that's a good thing. It reduces the risk of punctures, evens out the tyre wear, and 45 minutes is quite a long race for these guys. I think it'll be about 10-11 laps,
Great.
depending on whether we have slow zones or anything else take part, but around about 10-11 laps.
And a slight change to the engine here as well for the cars. Now, we've got 5. We used to have 1 very long straight here at Le Mans up until about 1990. Now we've got 5 very long straights effectively, because the Ligne droite and Adier, what us Brits call the Mulsanne straight, has been split up with 2 chicanes, and the run down from Mulsanne corner to Indianapolis that's pretty quick, and then the run up to the Porsche curves, that's pretty quick as well. And the cars would have been on the rev limiter too long had they left them in their standard normal racing track spec.
Yeah, the gearing, the gearbox ratios are obviously designed for normal racing circuits. So the 6th gear, they don't have anything like the straights on a normal racing circuit. So the 6th gear is effectively too short, and the cars would have been bouncing off the rev limiter down those long straights. So they put a little air restrictor in just to knock the power back about 20 horsepower.
Right, the grid up in front of us now. That's all from the French Championship. Now, the flags of nations don't necessarily represent the championship there, because Charlie Eastwood, yes, that's his flag, but of course the Red Line Racing car, he is from the British Championship. You might recognise some names as we go through here. There's Lewis Plato from the UK Championship. Good thing for Tim and I is the 900s, all the British Championship cars, the Porsche Carrera Cup GP cars, are in the 900s. Not all the 900s are just British Championship. There's 1 or 2 interlopers, but all of the guys from Porsche Carrera Cup GP are in the 900 numbers. Although, see, there we are, Christian Lapierre from Sebastian Loeb Racing, he's nabbed 911.
I wonder why he picked that.
Some very good drivers here, and as you go through, you'll recognise some of the names. Vincent Beltoise, yes, that is that Beltoise family. He's part of the French Championship on the 9th row of the grid, and all of these guys are battling for championship points, remember, within their own group. So it's not necessarily about the overall finishing positions, although I have to say, I think, Tim, if there's a pass on, nobody's going to be going, oh, hang on, he's not in my championship. The people are going to go through. They want to get as high up the grid as they can. They're at Le Mans, for goodness sake. Yeah,
with 60 cars, they're going to get very strung out, aren't they? So the difference between the leader starting the race across the start-finish line and the last car crossing the start-finish line is going to be probably 25 seconds. They're going to be separated by big distances, so you might as well race against the car that's in front of you, regardless of which championship it's in.
This is fantastic. We're still going through the grid now. Right at the back is the 555. This is Julien Andeleur. He is the points leader in Porsche Carrera Cup France. He didn't get a qualifying time, and in fact, sharing the back row, the Texpeed WRT car is exactly the same, with Omid Öglu behind the wheel of that car. So the 555 car is one that I think we'll see quite a lot of coming through. There's Öglu at the back, the Turkish driver, and right at the very back, 61st position, the leader of the championship for the France Cup, which is the 555 car, the martined by Almeiras machine. And that is going to be a very, very long way to the front. And remember, he's got quite a lot of cars to get by before he starts picking off the French class. Okay, the Turkish driver ahead of him, but then there's 5 or 6 Benelux and British cars before he starts picking off into his own championship. So lots of storylines here, in behind the Porsche pace car as it is now. Let's hope we don't see any of the interventions by the safety car that will slow down the race. And Porsche have an experience centre here, in fact right opposite our position at the end of the lap here. It's just off to our left, and they've had some very rapid passenger rides from the new GT3 4 litre this morning going out there. Some very lucky people. And I spent some time at Porsche Experience Centre LA recently, having a look around there, and amazing facilities. There's one at Silverstone as well, of course. That was the original. I'm sure Porsche GB would say the best as well, but it's the model on which they've all been based, and one in Shanghai to be opened later on this year as well.
One interesting aspect of the UK cars is that Nick Tandy, Porsche factory driver, has his own team, JTR, named after his brother Joe Tandy. He has his own team in here, and so his leading driver is Dino Zamparelli in second place. Now, wouldn't Dino love to win it for Nick at Le Mans? That would be fantastic. And Nick has been very omnipresent in the Porsche Carrera Cup paddock this weekend, really trying to help his drivers and team with his experience.
There is the 555 car right at the back for Julien Andaleur, warming his Michelin tyres. Does that really do any good, Tim?
Yeah, it does. You're trying to build heat sort of all the way through the carcass of the tyre. It's gentle weaving, and they're building heat throughout the tyre. They'll have no problem getting these tyres up to temperature. Don't forget, these were brand new, unscrubbed tyres, so they always have that shiny finish on them, trying to get heat through. But look how far back he is on the circuit. You know, the leaders have already gone through Indianapolis and probably Arnage already.
Yeah.
You know, he is miles back, and you can't recover that kind of distance. You can't make up that kind of distance. Look where the leaders are now.
That's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's got a lot of... Well, I tell you what, his onboard's going to be worth watching
Yeah.
at the end of this from the guys in France. If you are just joining us, good morning. Tim Harvey and me, John Hindhaugh, getting ready for the Le Mans 24 Hours with a beautiful little starter portion of Porsche Carrera Cup, with 3 championships vying for their own points. A couple of wildcard entries as well. We've got a couple of Asian entries from Australia as well, as the safety car begins to pull away, coming into the Porsche curves. That is such a fast turn in there, and it's pretty smooth there as well. The bank has been pushed back from driver's left and then through the Porsche curves, Tim. A little bit different from when you raced here, but still very much a rhythm part of the circuit.
Yeah, very much so, and fast part of the track. These cars have a certain amount of downforce, nothing like as much as the GT cars in the Le Mans race, so mechanical grip is a big factor here. Here we see that great shot of the cars coming through the corner.
The safer barrier here, which is a relatively new addition, American style, so there are the foam inserts behind that, so that's closed that part of the track down, but it absorbs any impact energy. We're going to see some drafting here, we're going to see some slipstreaming as well, aren't we?
Surprisingly, these cars don't give off a huge slipstream.
Right.
It's a very small slipstream, even, you know, at the speed they go. Very efficient car, but it doesn't get, and again, that goes back to the point, it's not a downforce car, it doesn't give off a huge tow. The driver's been commenting on that already.
Xavier Masson just going through the shot there. That's the man leading the A category of the Benelux Championship. Right, Tim is rubbing his hands. It is time to get racing. The first race of Le Mans Saturday and Sunday, the 85th Grand Prix d'Endurance to come later on this afternoon. Hope you'll join us for that over on Radio Le Mans. But here we are ready to go for Porsche Carrera Cup at the 85th edition of the Le Mans 24 Hours, and this is absolutely perfect weather condition this morning. It's been hot all week. It's around about 20-21 degrees Celsius on the track side. Will the safety car pull off? Yes, it will. It's one of the new Panamera shooting brakes. That's the first time I've seen that car, and we wait for the green lights. They're on, and the pole man Latzo from the French Championship gets a reasonable run, but the 908 on the left hand side of the picture with the stripes across the bonnet, Dino Zamparelli has got position going into the first right-hander, and he's gone through into the lead. That is a really important move from Zamparelli, and there's carnage bringing out behind, off into the dust. Now that all the way through into the first left-hander. There's going to be carnage here, Tim, and this is exactly what those guys in the midfield didn't want.
Yeah, and Camish at the front's had contact on the exit of the chicane. He's still going, but he had contact as well.
Yeah, the 901 car, Dan Camish, that's the 928 in there. That's Charlie Eastwood, and he's got a problem. He was the third best of the Porsche Carrera Cup GP qualifiers, but Dino Zamparelli made his move early, and that is really important for the championship.
Yeah, he said he was going to do it, and in fact it's turned out to be the safest place to be, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly so. Rivera in second now, then Morin. Where's the pole man gone? Latour's dropped way down. He must have been involved in there. Kamish still running. Oliphant in 7th position now. He's climbed up through the standings. He started a little further back than that on the grid. Let's see if we can work out what happened here.
Yeah, in the dust, these cars come back across the track, but look at the we missed it.
Yeah, they went straight on into the left-hander.
Yeah.
Now, there's Eastwood having his issue. But, well, we've got yellow flags out, so clearly full course caution is being called for. Start of the race is being investigated as well by our stewards.
Well, one of the things is these drivers, they pretty much knew that they wouldn't abort the start because of the 61 limping away. Because of the 61 car field, the drivers at front sort of knew they wouldn't abort the start. It was almost a given that they were going to go. So there's a great temptation as a driver to jump the start, isn't there?
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they're looking at.
It looked pretty clean from the front. There is the 991 going through. That's another good Porsche number as well. Oh, dear. There's Latour. That's the pole man.
Yeah.
That was the man that was on pole position. That's a right rear Michelin puncture. Now,
looking at Kamish's car, because his car was bounced up into the air.
He's got away with that.
If he has, he's been a very lucky boy.
Oh, that's one of the Carrera Cup GP cars. Yeah,
T.O.S. Really disappointed. He was really looking forward to this race. And that was one of the cars that got written off at Alton Park at the last Carrera Cup GB race.
Yeah, it's another one of the Tandy cars.
It's a reshelled car. That's buried deep in the gravel. And that's Lewis Plato in the background.
Yes.
Another one of the JTR cars.
So that looks to me as though that's happened around about grid line 4 or 5. Ewan Mackay in there as well from the GP Championship. Elenas, we saw the 999. He started on the outside of row number 6 with Lewis Plato alongside him. So I think they were hit by the cars coming back on the circuit.
So. And Eastwood was synced on the grid as well, so in exactly the same place.
There you go, yeah.
So what a disaster for a lot of those British runners who were just in that group together. But of course the pole man as well.
Yeah, and that's all the hard work done by Florian Latour with a puncture. Now, the good thing is he can get that car back, and if he can get that car back and get another tyre stuck on, he'll not lose that much ground here.
You are joking, aren't you? With 60. I mean, he's going to be, mind you, they are scoring points individually in their championship, so he's still got a possibility. Let's not rule it out.
What I'm waiting to see is where the 555 car got up to in all of that from the back of the grid. Was he able? Yes, he's made up. He's up to 52, 9 places, Andaleur. So, and he's got past a few of the French cars, at least 1 or 2 of them. But it is. Oh, Xavier Masson was involved in that as well. That's the Benelux points leader. So Xavier Masson has been involved in that incident as well. And was that Masson then who originally went off on the left-hand side and caused that big dust storm? Let's have a look. Yes, I think it is. Or no, that's Masson going through into that. Now watch. Oh my goodness, that's a very heavy.
This is
the angle. There it is.
Watch Kamish's. Oh, it wasn't Kamish. It was Eastwood's car that went up in the air.
Yeah.
Hence the broken front suspension.
Yeah, and there is Eastwood struggling at the bottom of the hill.
And that's going to hurt his championship position, because one of the things that's happened with this race is that they were only allowed 20 cars from the British Championship to enter. They obviously have more cars in the British Series than that, so they've had to enact a rule where drivers are allowed to drop a score from their championship points. It was previously all rounds to count, but you can't really have that if you then don't give someone an entry at one of the races. So they're allowed to drop a score. Now Dan Kamish is going to miss the Snetterton race, which is two races, to race in Porsche Super Cup that weekend. So he's been battling with Charlie Eastwood to build up enough of a points advantage to drop one score and miss Snetterton and still be in the championship hunt. This is going to help Kamish massively. So,
yes, because there's 2 races there, only one of those Snetterton races can be one of his drop rounds. Well, or does he have to compete in it?
No,
he have to drop it?
No, he can drop it. He can drop it. That's not a problem. But it still means he's got to finish all the other races.
Yes, and he hasn't here.
It's not what Charlie Eastwood wanted.
Somebody's got some nice Porsche souvenirs there. It's the very expensive pieces of plastic.
One of the beneficiaries, actually, of this sort of rule was that Ross Wiley, the English driver from Scotland, first year in Carrera Cup this year with Slide Sports, wasn't going to be in this race at all. But Tuesday morning, he got a call from the UK. One of the French guys has dropped out. Would you like to come and take his place?
I've got my car on the trailer.
And he was here like a shot, and he's been loving every minute.
Lewis Plato's car being taken away by the Snatch tractor. There'll be no further part taken by the 977 car.
Oh, a lot of debris on the track,
yes,
obviously.
That's where people have gone. That's exactly where the cars came, straight back across the track. The gravel trap slowed them down a bit, but we're not going to go green here, Tim. We're going to have another 8.5 miles of safety car.
Porsches.
Yeah,
but of
good
course,
chance to get your pictures, I suppose, if you're trackside.
The other thing is that, of course, these cars have all their radiators at the front.
Yeah.
So a little bit of damage at the front blows the radiator. That's in actual fact the reason why several cars had problems in practice, hit the floppy disks, broke the radiators, took no further part.
Zamparelli leads behind the safety car. Rivera in second, and he's come up from where on the grid?
Oh, tyre coming off the back there.
That's the pole man. Yeah, Latour. Florian Latour in the Almaris, the Martinet by Almaris Racing. Almaris brothers, very well known for running Porsches down through the years, 917s, 956s, 962s, and have a great history here at Le Mans. And they'll be disappointed that their man, having planted it on pole. Now that is the 17. Oh, do you see that's
see water coming out the bottom there? That radiator's. The good thing is though that coolant will evaporate fairly quickly in the heat.
And that was one of the guys who's come the furthest distance. That was a wildcard entry from Brazil, Miguel Peludo in the 17 car. Huge amount of interest in Brazil in Porsche Carrera Cup. I've seen them there supporting the WEC back down through the years, where they quite often have 45 or 50 cars in several classes there. And when we were racing WEC in Brazil, always worth getting trackside to watch those cars in Sao Paulo. And that is a very long way for a very short part of the race here. Just trying to work out where Rivera came from, because he was on the second row of the grid, so he must have picked his way round the back. So he's now the leading French runner. In third place, behind the safety car, is another one of the invitations. That's Philip Morin, another Martinet by Almaris car, but that's a Swedish championship car. So not really one of the major championship here. Then the Frenchman in behind that, or French championship runner, is the 53 car. Now he had a great start. Came from the 5th row of the grid. Otto van Ugeven, not a very French name there. And then Dan Camish in 5th. Hugh Mackay in 6th. Tom Oliphant 7th. We've got a Lapierre in the 911 in it. Now we mentioned him picking the 911, and that's Christophe Lapierre for Sebastian Loeb Racing. He came from the outside of the 8th row, so he's done all right. Donada Beltoise in there as well, so mostly French and Great Britain Cup runners at the front. Now this is the last year, of course, of this iteration of the Carrera Cup car. I've been lucky enough to watch a few rounds of the 2017 car as is now in the States, which has got conservatively another 40-odd horsepower, taking it a smidge away, if not a bit more than 500 of your standard horsepower.
Best horses. Well, I've been lucky enough to drive both of them.
Oh, right, okay, actually. I'm off now. Well, you drove them back-to-back, though,
and I
didn't you?
drove them both back-to-back on the same day, and the difference is quite incredible.
Really?
And in fact, I was doing a day with Charlie Eastwood, and he was driving the new car, and I was driving Dan Camish's car, and I was blown away by the improvement. And then we swapped cars, and he couldn't believe it going the other way, how much slower the standard car felt. So, yeah, the new 991 Gen 2 car that's in Super Cup and in America it's a real beast. And the drivers, when they do get it, are going to have to learn a little bit more throttle control. Rear tyre wear is a big factor on it because of the extra power. But at the moment, these guys are just, well, hoping that safety car goes in and they can get to enjoy the full Le Mans circuit rather than be behind the safety car with only 34 minutes to go.
Yeah, already 10 minutes behind the safety car. It'll be about another 90 seconds to 2 minutes before we get back to the line. I'm straining my neck and looking off to the right-hand side. Decent crowd here this morning. Overall numbers for Le Mans down quite a bit this year, but still, I'm sure it'll still be 200,000 by the time everybody has filed in.
And it looks to me, looking down the list, like Alex Martin is leading the Pro-Am 1 sector of Porsche Carrera Cup GB, and Graham Mundy, the Pro-Am 2 sector. No, sorry, Peter Carl Henny, the Pro-Am 2 section. Interesting, Alex Martin actually has raced here in the Le Mans 24 Hours with his father Rupert in a Ferrari, so he has had some prior experience. Peter Carl Henny, I know, is absolutely loving this weekend.
What's not to like? The safety car lights are out as they go round Arnage. Been reprofiled over the last few years. Used to be very close wall, about 3 feet away to the right of that curve cam there. Beautiful day here, as it has been at Le Mans all week. I've been here since last Friday setting up, and I think we barely had half an hour where the sun hasn't been shining at its brightest during the daylight hours. A little bit cooler last night, which was a pleasant change.
There's Alex Martin, the 902 car.
In the multicolour. Wouldn't lose that in the car park, would you? That's good, I like that though. Yeah. It wouldn't have been too long ago, Tim, when we would have been looking at a whole raft of plain white Porsches, thank goodness, for vinyl wraps.
There are some fabulous liveries out there, some absolutely fabulous. All these cars get supplied in white. Some are painted, some are liveried, as you can say, with vinyl, but we're about to go racing again.
Now, this is down to Dino Zamparelli. He is taking control of the field. He's allowed to drop away from the safety car, but not too much. Race directors don't like to see too much weaving either as you come back to the green flag, so they'll settle down in a moment. It'll be a single file restart, so not as at the start when they were side by side. Watch the safety car indicating to pull into the pit lane. How very lovely. And now Dino Zamparelli, Rivera behind him, then Morin Govan, Dan Camish has got Mackay, Oliphant and Lapierre, fast starting Lapierre. Now the right foot goes hard down from Dino Zamparelli, and he's caught 1 or 2, napping further behind. The gaps are already opening up, but he hasn't shaken off the Frenchman, the 21 car behind, and he's right in the wheel tracks. Defending already, goes over to the pit wall, trying to make it harder. Now he's got to stay there, they'll be watching that. He drifts back, that's all right. Side by side through that extremely fast right-hander and into the Dunlop. Braking area for Dunlop. Well, he's done the hard bit. That's the bit that he needed to get done, but he hasn't shaken off Rivera in second place.
No, good start by Rivera. He looks quick, doesn't he? Camish has dropped away a little bit in fourth, which makes me wonder if there is any issue with his car. He's normally lightning on restarts.
Yeah, he's got Govan right behind him. It's the orange-fronted car that Tim's talking about there, and the blue and white behind him. Fourth and fifth, within 6th position. Ewan Mackay, the 981.
And Govan has actually passed Ewan Mackay. He was in 5th place at the start.
Yes,
so he's been passing to the Dunlop S's. Look, side by side onto the Mulsanne Straight.
Yeah, coming out of Tete Rouge. Great run by the second place Porsche. That red, white and black car is already through. And down towards, green flags are waving. Don't worry about that. That's just to remind everybody that we're racing again. Now, braking area. This is coming down into the first chicane. The 2 chicanes here, by the way, the drivers will tell you the second one is much tighter than the first. It's not true, they're exactly the same. Looked like a miss of the chicane, the middle part of it, by Morin in 3rd place, the 86 car, Philippe Morin from the Swedish Championship. But he's managed to stay ahead of Camish. Look at the stream of cars. It's halfway down the Mulsanne Straight. That's fantastic sight.
And remember, most of these drivers will have never experienced slipstreaming like this ever before. Zamparelli looking for a way round. He'll have to go round the outside into the second chicane. Further back, Ewan Mackay looking down the inside. Camish holding... wide again. Morin.
Yeah, that is the 3rd place car. The Swedish driver, or the Swedish Championship driver, Philippe Morin, qualified in the 3rd row, inside the 3rd row, and Zamparelli looks for the lead round the outside, side by side. Oh, look at this stuff. This is brilliant. Well, there is a hole in the air being made, and these guys are learning about drafting, about slipstreaming. First and second, absolutely together. Zamparelli and Rivera. Rivera leading now into the heavy braking area at Mulsanne corner. Really difficult entry to that corner because you're almost coming down a slip road there and already turning to the right as you're braking.
Cammish was massively late on the brakes. He closed up big time on the first two. They're all sort of trying to break this toe, aren't they?
Yeah.
I said slipstreaming didn't work particularly here, but it seems to be that it is. They're all getting closer and closer together.
Well, maybe they're running a bit closer now than they were running in practice, because this is where it counts. This is for championship points, and Zamparelli pulls out the driver's left. He's got to go the long way around here. Great sector of the track here, and extremely fast into Indianapolis. Big banking here. Get down to the inside. Those curbs are quite severe. Some parts of the circuit, they're pretty flat, but there you will feel the rattle in your fillings. Now to Arnage, the right-hander. You're heading for home now towards the end of the lap, and the top 4 or 5 have come back together, Tim.
Yeah, and this is the first full-speed racing lap. They're about to take the Porsche curves for the first time. I'm holding my breath.
Exactly so, and it looks like Zamparelli's under pressure now. Cammish with that orange-fronted car. That's an audacious manoeuvre down the outside, but look at Zamparelli. He's forced to the inside. He's actually making ground on the leader. Another bunch of cars following in behind Morin in the 86 there. Remember, he has already made a mistake, so the top quartet getting away through the Porsche curves for the first time. Left, right, all about keeping the momentum going and trying to stay on the right line. If you get a moment and half a car's width off early on, you're wrong for the whole lot.
Yeah, and Cammish and Zamparelli looked like they were going to be turning in side by side to the Porsche curve. Cammish was on the outside. He obviously decided at this point in the race discretion was the better part of valor, and that was a sensible decision.
The car in the ninth place, the number 9 car, Jeffrey Denarder, had a very good middle sector. He must have got a good tow. French Championship car. He's sitting in 8th position at the moment, seeing the fastest laps coming through. 4:11, 4:10 for the 27 car further down. That's Yolandas Hasse-Klotz for Sebastian Loeb Racing. Now, just to give you an idea, that's not far away from a GT3 car time round here. We've got some GT3s in the road to Le Mans, and that's how quick these cars are on only their first racing lap. Tim and I both think they will get quicker. Top 5 now coming back together as Morin has recovered from his little off and loss of concentration earlier on. Tom Oliphant there, the 915 car, just got to look at, there he is. You can just see him there with the green stripes on the front and the white doors.
And the white front bumper signifying he's had a new bumper on this weekend, like so many others. But yeah, these cars are on steel brakes, and remember, these get very cold then down the straights, and I think that was what Morin was suffering from in the start. Cold brakes. You know, back in the day, we used to have to tap the pedal with our left foot to put some temperature in the brakes before we got to the end of the straight, but they're all up to full working temperature now.
So down. Oh, that was a very opportunist manoeuvre there from Dino Zamparelli in the 908, going for the lead. Again, he's backed out of it, but he was the fastest man in the first sector. Now, down the second sector is the run from Tertre Rouge, which is out of the circuit permanent onto this long straight. This used to be the main road down to Tours. Now, there is a motorway that's been built now, but this still is public road on... Obviously not today, that would be a bit silly if there was things coming the other direction, but you can drive this part of the circuit for the rest of the year. Zamparelli moving around in the mirrors, or Rivera, our leader. Alessio Rivera then for the Tsunami RT team in the French Championship, and he at the moment doing the best job of the French runners. Not in the top 6 in the French Championship. Andeleur, we need to keep an eye out for the 555, up to 40th position, so 21 cars past then by Julien Andeleur, who's the leader in the championship. He's having fun, as are these guys down into Mulsanne. Oh, down the inside, what a manoeuvre this is if he can pull this off. That is brilliant stuff from Dan Cammish, and he keeps it on the island.
Just stopped it before the exit, and he might have been slow out there. He might get repassed before the turn into Indianapolis, but we'll see. But that was a very late. But Cammish has always been really good on the brakes, and that's his forte.
Now in second position, Zamparelli in trouble now in third. 53 car, Guven, he's down, he's inside. I think that pass will be made here, although he's got to get it done now before they get to Indianapolis. He's got this curve. He's very fast right-hander. Now, Now and there is Andeleur, that is the French leader, the 555 car. 21 cars past. Oh, was that a little tap there?
No, I think you just frightened him out of the way, if I'm honest.
Okay then. That was the 90. That was the Parsons car, wasn't it? The 904 car. Yes,
Peter
it was.
Parsons.
Peter Parsons, yeah. So there's Rivera leading from Zamparelli, from Camish rather, with Zamparelli now in third position. Zamparelli seems to have recovered his composure, Tim, but he's going to come under pressure again here. Into the Porsche curves, top 5. That's a marvellous sight on a sunshiny day like this. Right out.
Great sound as well. These cars are running the unsilenced Super Cup exhaust. Not quite as sexy as the RSR Porsche.
Isn't that great?
In the mid-engine RSR car in the Le Mans 24 Hours, but they nevertheless do sound absolutely fantastic.
Just looking down, Tom Oliphant in 8th position, Ross Wiley in 14th. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Porsche Cup GP runners in the top 15. It's the French guys who make up the rest. The best of the Benelux drivers at the moment is the 98 car in 18th position, but they're having a crack, and that's one of the B-class runners actually from Benelux as well. Meantime, on to another lap. Halfway through now as they settle down into their racing. Lost about 11 or 12 minutes after that first lap incident, which has taken out some big names in Porsche Carrera Cup GB.
Oh, a little bit of a gap has developed just behind Dan Camish now to Zamparelli, but that's Zamparelli had been right on the back of Camish, but there's a little gap developed now, which might give Camish an opportunity to attack Rivera, maybe into the first chicane, maybe into the second, but now he's pulled off a good pass at Mulsanne. Maybe he's chosen that as his overtaking place.
You can do it, can't you? As we saw, he had to go up onto the curb. There's a little right-hand kink before the proper corner. He's in a nice position here. Looking at it again, goes down to the driver's left. He's come out nice and early. Look how wide it is there. He's got his nose ahead for a moment. Nothing between them. He's gone round the outside into the first chicane. Oh, now, did he get round the corner? Who emerges first? He's held onto it. Well done, Dan Camish. Absolute last of the late breakers. Round the outside into the first chicane. Yes, please. He'll be wanting to see that on the highlights.
I was glad to see him come out the corner
side
because he had that little lock-up going in. But, of course, he was probably a little bit slower coming out the corner. And, of course, you can repass here.
Yeah, because it's such a long run. Any of these runs between the chicanes down into the Mulsanne corner would be as long as the longest straight these guys normally run on, almost 3 abreast behind them. But it's Porsche Carrera Cup GB runner Dan Camish that leads in the 901, and a shortcut taken there. Yeah, and Zamparelli off the track as well. Now, you need to be careful doing that because there's all kinds of detritus in there. This has been a public road, including up to this morning when it was closed, and there'll be all kinds of little bits of gravel on there, and the Michelin tyres are pretty robust, but they won't like a lot of that.
No, you don't want to be running over the stones. All these cars came here looking absolutely immaculate. New windscreens in them, fresh bodywork, and of course that look, being gone out wide on the exit.
That was Mackay, wasn't it, coming through?
Mackay in the blue fronted car has made that position back, which is great.
And Zamparelli's got back ahead of the 86 again for 4th position. Camish, Rivera, Gouven, now Zamparelli. I think Ewan Mackay has followed them through as well. There's Zamparelli.
Should just give a shout out in the classes once again because Alex Martin is still leading Pro-Am 1 in 17th place overall for Carrera Cup GB, and I think Peter Carhenny is still leading Pro-Am 2.
Yeah, French leader at the moment is the Rivera car in second from Gouven, and then that very quick number 9 car set the fastest lap earlier on, Jeffrey Denarder in the Sebastian Loeb racing car. Best of the Belgians is a B-class runner, as we said, Glenn Van Paes, who is in 18th position, leading at the moment. Oh, and there he is, going off. He was the Belgian leader. That's Arnage, and he's outbraked himself. Curse of the commentator there. Happened whilst we were speaking about him. Just saw it on the replay there. So that then will allow the 33 car back ahead with this Yannick Hugaz, who is one of the speed lover entered cars, 33, and he is now in the lead of the Belgian part of the championship. This is great. Cammish trying to break the tour here.
He is. I mean, it's one thing to follow because you can use the other car as a braking marker. Much harder to lead, but Cammish is doing it with aplomb at the moment. He's really having a completely standout, stellar year this year. He's won the last 2 British Carrera Cup championships. Graham Mundy, what a shame. He's been really enjoying the Team Parker Racing guy. 942 car, he's out. But Cammish has been having his first year full-time in Super Cup as well. He had a 2nd and 3rd at Barcelona, which was a great start to his year. And then a brilliant Monaco, quite spectacularly brilliant Monaco, where he finished 2nd with fastest lap to Miguel Amabel.
How difficult is it going to be for him then, given what you were saying about the differences between the 2017 Super Cup car, which will become Porsche Carrera Cup GP car next year, jumping back into this earlier version? How it's gone the 19 there as well.
Yeah, it is. It's harder for him to probably jump back into the Super Cup car, because if he drives it like the UK car, he'll be having wheel spin and oversteer everywhere. So it's probably harder going that way. This is what happened.
Oh, so that's the Cheney car going backwards at pace, but I don't think quite hit the barrier. And was that the 928 that was in there as well? Was that Eastwood recovering?
Yeah, I wonder if Charlie got back to the pits and has had some repair work done under the safety car and rejoined.
Running in 32nd position, which doesn't sound great, but he's up there in the top 10 or 11 of the British category. Wow. So they did turn that car around very, very quickly for Charlie. That could be important.
That's the Red Line Racing boys.
Yeah, well, they work hard, don't
Very professional team. Now, I thought Zamparelli was sort of dropping off. I thought maybe his car was quicker at the start of the race and then going off a little bit, but he's back in the hunt again now. Still 17 minutes to go.
Yeah, yellow flags at the 2nd chicane. And someone's gone off in the middle. Oh, that was a bit naughty. Overtaking under yellow there. That's Julian Donata. Sebastian Loeb racing car. Don't like to see that when there's...
Not when there's a crane there.
Yeah, and that's why there's double yellows.
Now we've got the slow zone, which means 80 kilometres maximum.
Yeah, I think, yes, that may have been required slightly further back up the track. This is something that these guys won't be used to either. They had the driver's briefing earlier in the week. So... effectively think of it as having a safety car on this part of the track. There's no overtaking, everybody just slows down. However, you're not allowed to close up. So what it should, it's like when you used to play scale extras as a kid, and somebody would go off, you say stop, everybody stops until you put back go, and that, so you sort of keep the same areas around the track. Now, where's the 555? Andela, the French championship lead, up to 29th now from 61st.
Yeah, there he is. He's had a very good recovery so far.
That's Graham Mundy's car that's been craned away. Clear view there of the lifting straps at the top of there. There's the 19, that's the Cheney car that we saw with side by side with Charlie Eastwood having a little incident. Charlie Eastwood up to 32nd position, and in the A class is... oh, I reckon he's in the top half dozen of Carrera Cup GB A class. He's got a couple of Class B cars ahead of him, but he's still scoring important points. Remember, only one dropped score for Porsche Carrera Cup GB this year.
But they score points down to 15th place.
Yes.
So he
in A and B.
Yes, so he will be scoring points undoubtedly. Only 1 point for 15th, but where did you say you reckon?
I reckon, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In A class, I think he's 7th or 8th.
Yeah, well, he's going to score good points.
7th.
So good recovery. He's going to get 9 points that, although Cammish will get 20 if he still wins.
Well, and that's down to the team, getting him turned around. You know, it would have been easy. Good for the driver for getting it back. That's good heads up. Get the car back, we'll see if we can fix it. Bang another wheel and tyre on, pull the bodywork out of the way.
Assuming he doesn't get a penalty from the clerk of the course for that move. Send the other car.
Yeah, that was, ironically, that was after he came back out the pit lane. Graham Mundy's Team Parker racing car being rather unceremoniously hauled out of the way by the Snatch tractor.
Let's have a look at lap time, shall we? Lap times, fastest lap is a 4 minutes 8.4, which is quicker than the pole time.
Yes.
The pole time is a 4 minute 8.5. So they are starting to go quicker.
And it seems Sebastian Loeb Racing have got their cars dialed in, because that's another one of SLR's car, Valentin Hasselklot, in that car, sitting at the moment in 27th position. He's just taken the fastest time.
No, he's in 9th.
Oh, he's in 9th, excuse me. Yes, so
qualified 27th.
Yeah, excuse me, the number 27 car, he's in 9th position. He has taken that lap away from his teammate, who's dropped out of contention. So what's happened to that car? Has he dropped right off the race? Yes, he has. So there's been a bit of carnage here. Tom Oliphant, not a bad lap last time around.
Back to racing.
Oh yes, straight out. Now this is the advantage, Tim, of having the slow zones. We haven't neutralised the whole circuit. Only there's 7 3/4 miles that's perfectly okay for racing on. So once you get past the incident, we're back to racing. And I think that's a great idea on a circuit this long.
It is, and Camish was on the ball, wasn't he?
Certainly was.
Oh.
There is Julian Donada, and we're straight back to yellows again. Oh, that's unfortunate. Now, this is for the Cheney car in the Porsche curves, just off the driver's left, went straight on at the next right-hander when they were side by side with Charlie Eastwood.
But very difficult when you have a slow zone and then you have a green flag and then there's another slow zone.
Yeah.
Very difficult for the drivers to manage not running into each other.
Yes, absolutely. And you've got to be on your mettle. Dan Camish then, just holding on to that lead at the moment with the time ticking away, coming down to 13 minutes of what was a 45-minute contest. We're at the 85th running of the Le Mans 24 Hours. Tim Harvey and John Hindhaugh with you in the sunshine here, as Porsche Carrera Cup GB has its 7th round as part of this festival of Porsche racing here at Le Mans.
So we have a yellow flag zone at sectors 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22,
I'll pop that for a cup of tea.
24, 25, 26, up to 35. That's a lot of yellow.
Yeah, hang on, 26, and then there's a gap, and then it's 30 to 35. Come on, Tim, give us the full picture.
The drivers manage the slow zone sectors by having it in 3rd gear on the pit lane speed limiter button.
Right.
That makes the...
That's 80 clicks. Ah, right, that's very clever. So they don't need a second limiter button. They just know that it's that revs in 3rd. Very good. Now, green flags at the start-finish line appropriately enough, so Dan Camish has to do it again. 5 laps completed as they cross the line. This time they'll head 6 laps completed. They'll head on to their 7th, and Camish then with 12.5 minutes to go. And look at the side-by-side action right up on the pit wall. Sam Morelli trying to make his way through, and has done. That's another bold manoeuvre as the black and white car, that is the Alessio Rovera car.
Good move by Zamparelli, because he got the car stopped. He left a little bit of racing room on the apex there. That was a good move, but a good restart by Camish. Look, he has a nice little gap.
Heck of a restart from Camish, and as he heads down through the Old Forest S's, the motorcycles peel off to the right there onto the Bugatti circuit, or the circuit permanent, as the locals call it. All of this part has been resurfaced since we were here last year for the 24 Hours. It's much smoother, and that first uphill right-hander towards Dunlop is absolutely gloriously smooth, and all the drivers commenting on just how much time they're making there this year. Ewan Mackay there in the two-tone blue car with the yellow bib on the front splitter. Now he's got a bit of competition behind him from Philippe Morand, the Swedish Porsche Carrera Cup driver, who's up alongside. Oh, this is all going to be a bit interesting as they come through. Hasselklot in behind there with a very fast car. Oh, there's another little mistake on the brake. That's called brakes again, Tim, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and he lost out there, and Mackay retakes that position, as is his right to do. You mustn't gain an advantage by going straight on, and Oliphant now takes the position.
Yeah, very good opportunist manoeuvre there by that black and green bonnet on that car. Watch the 27 car in behind the two-tone blue car there of Mackay, because that is a very fast Sebastian Loeb racing car, and he's got position as he comes down to the inside. That's Hasselklot and gets through. Valentin Hasselklot then in a sort of Porsche works colour scheme. They do like that black, white and grey colour. There's one of his teammates, the 9 car coming through. That's Julian Donada, who had the fastest lap early on. Hasselklot has him now.
He looks to be the man on the move, doesn't he?
He's got a good car under him.
Fastest lap just before the yellows, and now he's overtaking, so he's flying.
And there's no yellow flag zones anywhere around the circuit now, so we should see people racing around the whole of the 8.5 miles into Mulsanne corner, right-hand side here. That's where they used to hang the pit boards out back in the very early days. I have to say neither Tim or I were here in those days, because A, there wasn't a pit wall at the start-finish straight, and because there was no Ford chicane then, you were going so fast when you came past the pits, you wouldn't have been able to see the pit board anyway.
Look at Rivera coming back on Camish. It's impossible to break away here with these drafting down the long straights, because Camish had an excellent restart. Rivera's right on him again.
Had the better part of a second, and off onto the dirt, onto the dirty part of the circuit, coming down into the Arnage and Indianapolis and Arnage sector, side by side. Then I think that was that Mackay defending at the background? Oh, he's got. Oh, it's Oliphant that's gone through, isn't it? That's a fantastic manoeuvre there from Tom Oliphant. The two British drivers are battling for position and therefore points in the championship.
Very much so. Side by a little bit of damage on the front of Oliphant's car. The splitter just tucking itself down on the right-hand side. That's not what you want on this circuit.
Morin coming round, making it 3-4 wide. Yellow flags or yellow lights flashing there. So we should see some waved yellows as well coming into the Porsche curbs. The drivers don't seem to have seen that, or if they have, they completely ignore it. There's a car off facing the wrong direction there, as into the pit lane comes the number 19 car that we saw having issues earlier on, but that's ahead of this battle for the lead as they come round to complete their 7th lap with 8.5 minutes to go. I reckon
they might just get 3 more.
Yeah, they might get 3 more depending on when they come through, and if we get a clean run. We've seen them going around in just over 4 minutes, 4 minutes 8, 4 minutes 9 at the front of the field. Camish has again had a good run in that 3rd sector. He's good in the 3rd and the 1st sectors. Doesn't seem to be quite so quick down the tubes.
Well, it seems to me like the advantage he ekes out round the corners, he loses in the draft, which is the way it should be here. You know, he loses it in the draft because he came through the Dunlop Bessons last lap with a little bit of a lead and through Tenerife, but then they were on him.
Julien Andler, the leader in the French Championship, is up to 27th, but is under investigation. Now, I wonder if that was for that incident we saw with
Peter Parsons.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and that might just cost him his what at the moment has been a tremendous fight back. Started 61st and last, currently 27th, and in a point-scoring position in the French Championship. 27 is one of the French Cup cars. That is a 3rd position in category for Valentin Hasiclot in one of those very fast, certainly very fast in a straight line, Sebastian Loeb racing cars. And yes, it is that Sebastian Loeb, by the way. He's got his own team, Endurance Racing, as well as Porsche Carrera Cup here in France.
Yeah, he did some Porsche Carrera Cup France racing himself, didn't he? In fact, there was that lovely occasion at Monaco when he and Sebastian Ogier raced against each other in Carrera Cup.
And Ewan Mackay is the one who loses out to that car that's very fast in a straight line. Tom Oliphant's just broken away from that battle, which is effectively for 6th and 7th position. Hasiclot's gone through. Dan Camish leads from the first of the French cars. Rivera in 2nd. Zamparelli 2nd in GB and will get 2nd place points for that. Ewan Mackay, though, coming back on Hasiclot, and Moran right in behind them as well. Philippe Moran, the Swedish wild card entry, and there's a battle for the lead as well, as again Camish has been caught. He had almost a second going across the line. It was down to 2/10 at the first split, which was at the exit onto the Mulsanne straight, and now it's nothing at all. Side by side here, as well as Hasiclot in the black, white and grey car is muscling his way through on the 86. Moran having a look at him as well, and Ewan there in the two-tone blue and yellow car. Ewan Mackay having a bit of a look. My goodness, the battle for positions here is absolutely fast and furious.
It really is, isn't it? Again, Camish under pressure into the end of the lap down into Mulsanne, but look at him on the brakes, really strong on the brakes. He's doing just enough to hold that at the moment. The timing sector's still coming up purple, so yeah, these guys are still setting personal and quickest overall time.
And there's another mistake for the 86 car going wide. Philippe Moran, the Swedish Carrera Cup runner, and that's going to cost him not only momentum but places. Top 4 have gotten away again. Tom Oliphant in, at the moment for him, splendid isolation. That's 3rd place in Carrera Cup GB points. He'll be very happy with that.
He will, but you know what, the guys behind in that back will be absolutely loving this.
Yeah.
Racing, you know, side by side at 180 miles an hour, and that's what the top speed of these cars is here. They'll be loving it.
Yeah, they're going to have pretty much a season of racing stories just from this one race, aren't they, by the time they go? It'll be, oh, and I was down here and I was round there, and then did you see that thing where in the second chicane I went down the inside and I was up on the curb at Mulsanne? More dust being thrown up. Don't worry so much about that. The bits outside the dotted white lines aren't normally used as racing circuit. As Beltoise has a look down the outside. That's Vincent Beltoise. He's going to try and do the round the outside manoeuvre on Dino Zamparelli. Dino, I think, a little too experienced to let that happen to him, but that's very quick into there. That's the Porsche curves. The guys on the viewing bank there from the campsite got a great view of watching these cars turn in. That must be awesome, turning into there. What do you reckon, 155, 160 into there?
Probably, yeah, 100. Oh, Camish, a big slide there. Now, is this a sign that the rear tyres are struggling?
Yes. He may be struggling a little bit, and all of a sudden Rivera's all over him. He's leading the Carrera Cup GP, but he wants better than that. He wants top step of the overall podium through the Ford chicane. Added to slow the cars down before they came across the start-finish line for the 24-hour of Le Mans racing. Now across the line. Camish has been pretty good in this first sector. He's going to have to find his best here, and Zamparelli now establishing himself in third position. He's watching this battle. What a grandstand seat he's got as they head up the hill, and it's steeply uphill here. Helps you braking into this left-hander.
It does. Well, we call Le Mans the English race that happens in France, so
True.
National pride at stake here.
Yeah, absolutely right.
British driver Dan Camish against Rivera, the top French driver.
And if we were in America, we'd say the white flag was out because it is the final lap. The race director has decided that there's just 8.5 miles left as they went around for the start of their 9th lap. So we'll see 9 racing laps completed, excuse me. We've lost a couple due to those incidents. Camish, that is a save and a half.
Yeah, in
I
fact,
hope somebody.
all the cars ran a little wide there, but yeah, I'm not sure whether the drivers will actually know if it's the final lap or not. Radios are allowed, but not all the cars have them because in the UK Carrera Cup they don't use them.
Right, okay, side by side. Might have seen a last lap board, and Rivera goes through. Now that's not the worst thing that can happen, and Camish will fight back here. He's got the right line, the inside line. Well, he's held onto it. Where do you want to be, Tim? If you're driving now, do you want to be leading, or do you want to be second, or do you even want to be third and Zamparelli?
I think if Camish can get out of Mulsanne in the lead, then he'll win.
Right.
And I would rather be in Camish's position. In fact, I'd like to be Dan Camish. I was never that quick.
You're hiding your light under a bushel, Mr. Harvey. Tim Harvey, the most successful, has the most wins in Porsche Carrera Cup GP, sitting next to me, John Hindorf, as we're on the last 3/4 of a lap, but that's the better part of 5.5, 6 miles here as Camish defends again into the second chicane. That's the one that goes right, left, right. Oh, he's gone wide, he's gone wide, he's going to be in real trouble here. He's got to stay on the left-hand side and get the power down early, and he's lost the lead. He has lost the lead to Rivera, and that means that he's got Zamparelli right up his tailpipes now, and look at 4th place man, Gouvan coming round the outside, and that could be a spoiler for the 2 British guys. Oh, there's a touch and a bit of the bodywork coming off. I think that was Camish's car.
Yeah, it may have been off the back or the front, may have been a bit of splitter, not sure. Will Camish go for the lunge up the inside? He can't do it.
And Gouvan comes from 4th and gets to, well, sort of second-ish, but goes way too deep into the Mulsanne corner. Well, Dan Camish has still got top points for the Carrera Cup GB. Damage there for Ewan Mackay as well. In the background, I think. Something hanging off that car, and Ewan's dropped back a little bit. Yes, he has. I think there's been a touch there between Hasselhoff and Ewan Mackay.
Just a couple of places left to overtake. Will Camish try and go around the outside into Indianapolis? This is a hugely brave move. He's done it. I believe, can he hold it on the track? He can.
Well, this is
stop it.
One of the places that you can go down the inside, Tim, because of that banking, and he held onto it. That's quite a steep exit from there. Defends stoutly into Arnage, and through. The Frenchman tries on the outside, and here comes Zamparelli. Zamparelli now might get a run. He has. It's going to be Carrera Cup GB cars proudly flying the Union flag there in the top left-hand side of the windscreen as the drivers look at it. First and second for a moment. Zamparelli with a sniff of top points there. Tom Oliphant sitting in 3rd place in the British Championship, 5th place overall. Camish is gone, and it looks like Zamparelli is going to establish himself in second. He has done. First and second for Carrera Cup GB.
Well, that move by Camish just hung Rivera out to dry. A touch, that was all the opportunity Zamparelli needed, but Zamparelli isn't done yet. He'd have to win this race. Not many chances left, just into the Ford chicane coming up.
He's got a good car underneath him, Tim. He took a really tight line into the final left-hander before they head towards us. They're coming from our left now, and it looks like the lead is between the 2 Carrera Cup GB guys. Flash of the lights, indicator on. That'll give him 5 horsepower more. Surely he's right on the tailpipes. It's a short run to the line here. Kamish has got it now. Surely it's going to be overall victory at top points. Checkered flag is out. Dan Kamish takes it. Dino Zamparelli second, first and second for Porsche Carrera Cup GB. Rivera will take the top spot for France with Gouvan right behind him. Tom Oliphant fifth overall, but third place in Carrera Cup GB. Third in the French Julien Denarder, who had a very quick car ahead of his teammate Valentin Hasse-Kloss in seventh position. Then the Swedish interloper Philippe Morin, Vincent Beltoise in ninth position, and Ewan Mackay 10th, but crucially in fourth position for the GBs.
Yeah, well, all I can say is, what a race, what a race, what a last lap. That was absolutely brilliant. A circuit where these cars can really stretch their legs, and we saw some fantastic racing.
Entertainment par excellence. By the way, Julien Andler, who was dead last, got up to 24th position from 61st, and that puts him round about, I think, inside the top 10 of the A class of the French. If you're going to win a race at Le Mans, win it on the last lap with an outstanding and audacious move into Indianapolis. Quite extraordinary, and Dan Kamish will dine out on that for a very long time, as he should.
Absolutely, another feather in his cap, and his career just goes from strength to strength, and a brilliant, brilliant drive, defensively and attacking, and obviously a huge shout out to the winners of Pro-Am 1, which was Alex Martin in 16th place overall, and Peter Carl Henny in 31st place overall.
They'll also take their points for their championship. They've just gone through, actually.
Car's still finishing.
Yeah, we're only down to 40th finisher at the moment, as we're still waiting for one or two to come through. We know the 904 car dissipated. Well, Tim, what a race. What a race that was.
I loved it, absolutely loved it. You know, there aren't many times when I wish I was back in a Carrera Cup car racing, but I would love to have been out there in that. That was just a fabulous occasion.
Guest car next time, mate.
Maybe.
Yeah. all carnage on the last lap there. Oh, now, that was one of the Pro-Am cars, wasn't it? Yes, it was. It's the Jennings car. 931 that went around, and he was very lucky not to have been collected by everybody else. Dan Kamish, now you see, this just spooks me out. We've got cars still finishing, and he's coming the wrong way down pit lane. That's just wrong. Hindhoff's head's exploded. Well, Tim Harvey and John Hindhoff overlooking what was a stunning race. Lost a couple of laps, I reckon, due to the incident early on, and the key part about that, Tim, was we lost some big hitters at the top of the British Championship there. Not what they wanted. That's going to have to be one of their dropped scores.
Yeah, I'm looking to see where Charlie Eastwood finished, and he was actually 23rd overall, but in Carrera Cup GB,
7th, I reckon.
He would have been 7th,
yeah.
So he would have still picked up good points.
And that was good hustle by the team to get him back around. Early on, though, of course, we lost Lewis Plato in that first lap incident. In terms of the Benelux Championship, the leader, Xavier Masson, didn't make it under the bridge at Dunlop. So that's you. Edio Perfetti had a problem as well in the Benelux. He's riding high in the Edio Perfetti in the B class of the championship. Graham Mundy we lost as well from Carrera Cup GB. So quite a bit of carnage there, but Union flags next to the Porsche Carrera Cup GB runners, and Charlie Eastwood got the fastest lap of 4:07.2. That is a smidge away from GT3 pace.
Yeah, and over a second, 1.3 seconds quicker than the pole lap. He was a charged up, fired up man, wasn't he? But
he was.
As you say, that is incredibly close to GT3 times.
Yeah. Good stuff from Charlie, and that was a good fight back, good hustle from the Red Line Racing team. But it will be cheers and thank you very much for the Carrera Cup GB runners of Dan Kamish and Dino Zamparelli. They've got the bragging rights. I know that this is a part of the championship, round 7 of Carrera Cup GB, but there's nothing better than racing drivers in the same machinery, and that's the beauty of Carrera Cup worldwide, whether it's called GT3 or Carrera Cup, that we can actually get these races together, Tim, and do sort of an FA Cup final or a Super Bowl sort of presentation.
Yeah, Porsche have a history of doing this. They've had a couple of races here at Le Mans. They had that World Cup meeting in 2011 on the Nordschleife.
Which you were in,
which I
and won the British part. I seem to remember in very, very difficult conditions.
And it's fabulous that they do bring these Carrera Cup meetings together. They've had races at the WEC races as well as part of the ladder of opportunity that, of course, exists within Porsche. Nick Tandy, a former Carrera Cup driver, now a full factory driver. It just shows the opportunities that exist. And thank you, Porsche, for putting on such a fantastic show.
Yeah, Earl Bamber came through Carrera Cup Asia as well, similar sort of career path. Well, that's round 7 of Porsche Carrera Cup GB, and the lead is extended from Dan Camish then to Charlie Eastwood, but Zino Zamparelli closes the gap on Charlie just a little bit. Tom Oliphant, the man who was in 3rd position, so he gets good points as well from his 4th position. Lewis Plato, 5th in the championship. He's the big loser there with no points scored here. Ewan Mackay, though, getting decent points, came into this weekend in 6th. Rounds 8 and 9, Snetterton next time around?
Yeah, Snetterton next time round.
The Le Mans of East Anglia.
So no Dan Camish there. There'll be a replacement driver in that car, yet to be announced by Nationwide, the sponsors, but we'll wait to see who that is. No, don't look at me like that,
I'm looking at
John.
you like that.
Are you asking for the drive? Or?
No, I was looking at you. Let's go back to the start of the race and see if we can define what went on here. There's Elinas in the 999 car, but I think it kicks off just ahead of him. So there's the leaders going through. It was a great start of the race. Oh, there was a touch earlier.
Yeah, we did. That's what fired the car across the track and back on just in the right-hand side screen. That was Eastwood flying up in the air. Camish avoiding action, which dropped him well back actually at the start.
Yeah, he's down to what, 6th or 7th there.
Yeah, I think that was a puncture there on the left front for Eastwood. Fortunately, he doesn't get stuck in the gravel.
Yes.
Gets the car round, gets a new front left tyre on by the Red Line Racing boys, under the yellows of the safety car. He rejoins, doesn't lose too much time, and pulls out a magnificent result.
What saved him was the yellows coming out halfway around the circuit. He didn't lose any more positions from that. Rivera, I thought, was an absolute star there, did a cracking job, made it interesting for us. Alessio Rivera from the French Championship and the Tsunami RT car, the 21 car. Zamparelli looked like he had this. I mean, look at the gaps here at this point. You would have thought Zamparelli was going to drive away from this. Camish has already recovered to 3rd position. And after that, all right, a couple of interventions of slow zones, but we've had some. Camish was mighty on the brakes all day.
He was really, really good.
Here's the pass.
Watch this pass on Zamparelli. He lines it up, tees it up down the inside, clean pass up the inside. That was a great pass, and that was the first real signal of intent from Camish.
That must have given him a huge amount of confidence as well, Tim. The battle then was between Rivera and Camish at the head of the field, and those two, well, they were both going to take top championship points for their own, but there's the little lock-up. He held on to it, though.
He did, and he then held the lead right up until the last lap, but was never able to break away.
No.
He had to defend on the straights every single lap.
Now, this
was Charlie Eastwood and that touch. Yeah.
That was Cheney on the 19 car. That's in the extremely fast last right-hander in the Porsche curves. Now, Camish
This was the last lap. He goes in
wide.
too quick.
Yeah. He's on the wrong line as well, wasn't he? Because he's defending, that's fine. And here's Rivera around the outside. And at this point, you begin to think, oh, Dan, he's still got top points in the British Championship. There, right in behind him, is the Zamparelli car. But this, if you're going to win a race at Le Mans, do it like this.
This is absolutely fantastic. Round the outside on the way into Indianapolis, using all of the road, but of course you can stop the car on the apex on the inside, use a bit of the camber, and have got a perfect exit. And he knows pretty... Now, Rivera goes to the outside, Zamparelli looks up the inside, and that's what cost him the exit speed. He didn't have the exit speed to challenge again.
The old over and under from Zamparelli, which nets him 2nd place overall, 2nd place points in the Carrera Cup GB. Dan Camish will stand on the top step of a podium at Le Mans. Career highlight, got to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, he was very emotional at Monaco because He's a young man with not a huge amount of experience and loves his motorsport. When he finished on second at Monaco, he was almost in tears. The magnitude of that occasion, having watched it on television, he was really emotional, and I'm sure he'll be the same here at Le Mans.
For anybody who has even the slightest amount of petrol running through their veins to stand on the top of that podium.
And ironically, he drove for Nick Tandy in Formula Ford in his dominant year in British Formula Ford when he won every race.
Yeah. Our marshals doing a great job around the 8.5 miles this weekend, and we thank them here and at every motorsport event. We simply couldn't go racing without you all, men and ladies alike, in the orange or the white if you're in the USA, flag marshals, recovery, etc. And as the one of us two commentators who still holds a competition licence. You still have a competition licence?
Of course I do.
Oh, you still do? All right, OK.
They only let me out in historic cars.
All right, OK. Well, as both of us hold competition licences, we'd like to say thank you to all the marshals. What a run. Now, what I don't know is whether we're going to get the overall. Yes, we are. This is the overall podium. This is fantastic. So, Alessio Rivera for Tsunami RT coming out. He's the best of the French. Third position overall. Then Dino Zamparelli standing with both the flag of Italy and the UK on his suit, and Dan Camish then takes the top step of the podium, which means we will hear the British national anthem ring out over the Circuit de la Sarthe on race day morning of the 85th running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the 7th round of Porsche Carrera Cup GB as part of the Carrera Cup Le Mans festivities. Alessio Rivera, best of the French Carrera Cup winners, hailing from Italy, but it is the two Carrera Cup GB boys, first and second. And that's, that is a feather in the cap of Carrera Cup GB, isn't it? When you come here to a circuit that is a big leveller in every sense of the word, that shows the quality and the class with the GB boys right up there in the top six.
Well, of course, we have a good history with Damien Faulkner, Richard Westbrook, all going on to great things in motorsport. But yes, it's a fiercely competitive championship. The UK Carrera Cup Championship has the most number of pro drivers in it ever since its inception now, and it's a real category.
Love the trophy with the outline of Le Mans on it. That is going to take pride of place on the Camish mantelpiece, isn't it?
Simon Leonard on the left there, team manager and team owner of Redline Racing, deservedly getting a trophy himself, not just for Camish's victory, but also for the efforts in getting Eastwood's car back out.
Yes, absolutely correct. That was heads-up thinking from driver and the team there. Well, Tim, that extends the championship lead for Dan Camish, but plenty of racing to come in Carrera Cup GB, following as it does the British Touring Car Championship.
It does on the Toka rounds in Great Britain, and a great spectacle it is too, but that is one of the finest Carrera Cup races I think I've ever seen.
Half distance pretty much in the 2017 Carrera Cup season, Carrera Cup GB season. Dan Camish extends his lead over Charlie Eastwood, but we've seen that you can never, ever take anything for granted, because one fumble, one dropped score or a non-finish and it'll all be back on again. But as we head to the second half of the Carrera Cup GB season, it will be Dan Camish who takes a handy points lead to Snetterton in East Anglia for the next two rounds. Thanks to Tim Harvey sitting alongside me. I'm John Hindorf. This has been a cracker. Try and join us again for more Porsche Carrera Cup GB around your local circuits in the UK. Thanks for joining us here at Le Mans. Bye-bye.
sur le devant, here 112,000 drivers. Voilà, allez-y, mettez-vous là, devant. Nous avons sur ce podium